today is, of course, a time to celebrate our retiring board members who have given us far more of their blood, flesh, and tears than they probably anticipated, but we are incredibly grateful for their service. Typically, what we do is everyone goes around and reflects on their experiences on the board. So, Tom, would you want to start? I mean, you're sort of old and new.
Okay. I'll start. All right, and tonight my computer's not working. So first, just a chance to talk to my three compadres who I've served 4 years with, and in Jackie's case, 8. Matt, I thank you for your friendship and for your continued passion for transparency. When I think of your name, that's what I think of, and as well as sports trivia. But I greatly appreciate having served with you and the time we spent together. Craig, you've been a counsel to me in many ways, and an ear who I've gone to many times, and I promise I will continue to go to in the years ahead, because you have sound judgment, and I really appreciate your insight and your contributions, as well as your friendship. So thank you. Jackie, 8 years we've been together, and I have learned so much from you. You have been the voice of the student at each step of the way, and I've just grown, I feel, as a board member because of my ability to share time with you. So I'm deeply indebted to those years and the friendship that will last a lifetime. So I appreciate all three of you and your time. I thank you. And just having served with you is what makes being on this board. It pays for the pain associated. So I feel I gained more than the pain inflicted. Thank you.
Ralph, if you would like to go next.
Yeah, I think you said me, right, Sarah?
I did, yeah. I was thinking the staying board members can reflect them in the.
Yeah, well, I've only been on this board a couple of years, but I served on another.
Ralph, you muted yourself by mistake, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm bad with technology, Matt. If you didn't know that, I am. So I've been on this board for only a couple of years, but I served on another board for 8. And I want to say, first of all, that each of the three of you, I have never served with better people. And so I've really appreciated getting to know each of Matt, Craig, and Jack. You know, Matt, I kind of agree with the comments about you, but I'll say one other thing. I think you were always focused on the kids as well. I really think that you genuinely wanted to make the atmosphere at our high school one that was inviting to the students as they came in the door. And I certainly agree with the comments on transparency, and actually learned some things with you about that and how you communicate with the public. So I appreciate all of that. Craig, you're really one of the more insightful and thoughtful folks I've ever had the pleasure to work with. I've really appreciated the way you analyze issues, and you and I have agreed on some things and disagreed, but I got to tell you what, even when we disagreed, I completely understood where you were coming from. I really, really appreciated your logical thinking, and you've occasionally moved me off of my position to another one. And that's really because I respect your thoughtfulness in your approach to the process. Now, Jackie, you've served on this board for a long time, and certainly I agree with the comments about you being student focused, but you're more than that. You're a big thinker about what it takes to create a truly just, welcoming educational environment. And I think you've tried to keep everyone on task in understanding what that really means, and not just for the students attending our school, but for their families and for our community. And that kind of leadership is rare. That kind of strategic vision is rare. You will be missed. And I truly hope that one way or another, and I assume that you will, you stay highly engaged with our efforts here at the high school, because you're a real value add, and it's hard to replace value adds. So I'm going to stop talking now, which will be to everyone's great delight. But I just want to tell you how much I've appreciated serving with all three of you, that I respect all three of you. I think all three of you are good, wonderful people, and it's been an honor to serve.
Tina?
Thank you. Thanks. Matt, I want to say the marketer in me recognizes the marketer in me. And appreciate how much you have brought that piece of communications to what we do here, and how we keep that forefront, that making sure that everybody is informed. So thank you. Thank you for your service and your time, and congratulations. I believe your kids are graduating. Craig, it's been quite wonderful listening to you analyze things and learning from you. Thank you for what you brought. I didn't know you at all before this, so it's been cool. It's been quite nice getting to know you. Thank you. And thank you for your service too. The selfless piece of this work, putting yourself continually out there, everyone who's serving is more than people know. So thank you. Really appreciate it. And Jackie, well, you're still stuck with me, so. But I would not be in this seat right now if it wasn't for you. So I'm not going to get too emotional, because I'm still keeping you on CCD, even though I don't know if you really want to have that be a thing. But your commitment and your passion, and when I came to this board with my concerns about my own child, your listening ear and your willingness to say, hey, there's more, and invite me into the conversation just means everything. And watching you over the years before I even got to this seat, just advocate nonstop for what our students need in their voices at every space. So I can't thank you enough. The example that you've been, and will continue to be, because like I said, not let you go. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Tina. Dr. Fernandez?
Oh, wow. I'll start with Matt. Matt, we were able to flow from in-person meetings to virtual meetings because you pushed us to stream long before other boards were streaming. And I thank you for that. So that transition was seamless for us with this aspect. I also want to thank you for reaching out when there were times when our messaging may not have been as clear as we wanted it, and kind of guided us from your journalistic point of view on how to do that. You have always amazed me with your mathematical thinking, and how at a presentation you could do the calculation before we would even get it all out. So thank you for that. To Craig, the email you sent me the other day was touching. You talked about my being able to be calm. I've watched you be calm in multiple situations. When we were having those hard conversations about race, you were so transparent in your feelings and the things that you struggled with, that a lot of times, and I'm sure you understand when I do this, a white man has a difficult time doing that. Yet you were able to do that. You came in really wanting to help shore up for us the accountability aspect of the work that we do. And you always seem to find this midpoint of when you saw yourself getting out of the governance into the management, you'd always send me an email and ask the question and say, just tell me if I need to back off. And you never took that as me being disrespectful. I believe you honestly trusted my judgment on that and respected that, so thank you. Jackie, you were on the board that hired me. And I think I've shared with you guys that I walked in thinking, this board is not gonna hurt this Black woman. From this district in Missouri, and yet you were one of the people who, when the position was posted for the permanent superintendent, said, are you going to apply for it? And your support throughout those years have really helped me. It's given me voice that I didn't know I had. And I know when I interviewed, I said, is this boy gonna fight with me? And you never questioned that fight. And I know why, as I've watched you over the years, because you are a true warrior. Everything we brought forward, you would bring it back to, what does this mean for our children? And you kept for us at the forefront of that, particularly our most marginalized students, our Black and brown students. You never wavered from that. Regardless of what we bring forward, we think here's something new and you're gonna love this, and you would take us right back to, now this is what needs to happen. And so you are consistent, you are steadfast, you are passionate, and because of you, I'm a better superintendent. So thank you.
So I'm gonna actually start with Jackie because I love Jolene's comments sort of echoed some of my own. I think that Jolene was able to do so much in large part because of you. I'm gonna miss the fact I probably will be the only one who cries at meetings now, so I'm gonna miss you for that.
Just call.
I know, I got Craig gave me his box of 3 minutes. That telling what. But seriously, like I don't think we would be here without you, right? I mean that with all sincerity. Like Dr. Bird Adams did so much, but you were the one who really got us to her, basically, like prepared us for what we needed, which was Dr. Bird Adams. So I'm extremely grateful for that. You have been just a fierce advocate for our students from well before being a board member. So that really showed your personal connection with the school, your lived experience with the school, your experience having kids in the school. Like we brought all of that, right? And it was so valuable and so rich and really helped provide so much context for a lot of the conversations we had at the board table. And as somebody who only recently has had experience with the school, my own stepkids, that was extremely valuable, especially in those first years for me personally. So I'm honestly sort of surprised you didn't run again. I mean, you're such a part of this district, and I don't really know what it looks like without you at the board table, to be honest. So I brought you flowers, so don't go there. But really, it's like the void you leave is huge. So thank you.
I'm trying really hard.
It's all right. I gotta tell you, like your mind is pretty amazing. The way you see things, the way you can be analytical, no matter how sort of emotionally fraught a situation can be, is really inspiring, and it's something that I've always tried to learn to do. And sometimes I even think like, what can I do in this situation? And that helps. And as you know, I've come to you with my own sort of professional issues and asked for guidance because I think your counsel is really fantastic. And the perspective that you were able to provide for this board and thinking through some of these issues around facilities or finances was really, really phenomenal. So thank you for that, and you'll be very missed. Matt, who's virtual, I will start my computer now. Matt, I want to thank you for being very vocal about our communications and how we were handling that. You and I had a lot of phone conversations around communications that I found really helpful in terms of helping me sort of rethink how we're approaching communications and additional channels we could be possibly using to reach families and students. And I've also enjoyed watching your kids go through the high school since my stepson is friends with your stepson or with your son. So that's also been sort of a pleasure on the personal side. So I want to just thank you for your time and your energy and your dedication. Thank you to all of you for all of your incredibly hard work. What else is there to say? So I don't know if our retiring board members would like to say anything at this point. You're invited to.
I'd like to go last. That's
Of course.
I'll go first. Is that all right, Matt?
Sure, whatever, you uphold me 4 years ago, so you get dibs.
I guess I had some things to say, or I wanted to say to that. I mean, the first of which was, I just wanted to thank everybody here for the opportunity and the community to serve as part of this board, which I do in the good times. In the good times, I do reflect on as a privilege to be able to contribute and to help. And I've tried to do that. I've tried to be a good student of what I needed to learn, and I've tried to be a attentive listener and trying to do the best I could. And I hope that I've done that, and I appreciate everybody's patience with me, whether it is struggling with my own race issues or trying to figure out education because I didn't know it. I mean, I think that's what we have to do as board members. We can't come with all the answers. We have to learn. So thank you all for your patience in that. So I had a few things I wanted to say, to particular people. And I debated about, should I go around the room, but I don't want to. I've enjoyed working with all of you, friendship in certain ways. Tom and Matt in particular. Tom, you and Bob Spatz and me, and I feel like three people who want to debate things we should completely forget about school finances all the time. So I appreciate that. And Matt, your friendship to me as somebody who didn't have a network, who was trying to run for an office during the campaign when it started, was something I have always really appreciated. It's a friendship, I'd love to continue after board. It's been stressed by some things that have happened here, but hopefully that will pass. And I pulled out a full collection of $2 bills, including some Canadian loonies, which I was brought tonight, but you're not here. So we're going to have to meet up later, and that's kind of an inside thing. So I guess a couple things I really felt I wanted to say to a couple individuals, and I'm sorry if I, Gina and Ralph, I don't know you either, and we just haven't had the chance to get to know each other that well, except on Zoom, and that's unfortunate because I think that's taken away, from that camaraderie. It's taken away from that friendship that you can build in person. That's hard to build on Zoom, but I have always, when you were elected, I was pleased because you both think through issues very well. You both come at things from a similar point of view, but a very different point of view. And I've always valued that and appreciated it. Now, a couple people I really wanted to point out. So let me start with Jackie. Jackie, you led this board through what was such an incredibly difficult period. The respect I have for what you accomplished, the compassion and empathy that you put into it was nothing but amazing. And as my comment will go to Sarah too, it's just not that it's not appreciated by the community, but is very appreciated by me and everybody I talk to and say what you accomplished as president of this board. And that I just extend that to Sarah. You stepped up. You had no idea that the world was falling into a pandemic, really, and that it would be what it is. And you guys both put in so many hours. And
are, you know, so important to this school and community. I just want to thank you both for that. Finally, I guess two points. One, Joylyn, I sent you an email the other day, heartfelt. You are amazing. You have led this district in incredible ways, and you will be great with this. And I have learned a lot from you, not just about education, but how to interact with people and how to just be better at things in relationships. And finally, I guess just the last word, Greg, good luck. This is such an incredible asset for this community. And we so need to figure out some of the challenges, not just in this community, but in this country. And this is a microcosm of it. And I am looking forward to your leadership here to really help make that difference. And not that we haven't done great things in the last 4 years, we have, but we just need to keep it going, and we just need to get through it and see those results and be able to celebrate them as a community. So anyway, I probably talk longer now than I thought, 4 years of being on the board. So thank you all very much.
Matt?
All right. Good evening, everyone. As I say farewell, I want to first express gratitude for the many dedicated staff and volunteers at Oak Park and River Forest High School. Thanks also to my family, as well as all the other engaged families and individuals who are so integral to the Husky community. To my colleagues on the board, both those staying on and those departing with me, thank you for your service. To incoming board members, thank you for your willingness to serve. To our present superintendent, Dr. Pruitt Adams, and to our next superintendent, Greg Johnson, thank you both for your leadership. It's been an honor to serve. And in closing, take care, everyone, and Godspeed.
Oh, I don't have the reputation that Craig has of being brief, so just bear with me. This has been a journey, and starting my decision to run for the school board was not as planned as some other things have been in my life. It was more a spark of, this is where I need to be now. And I came to that point because of my belief in advocating and feeling and growing up with parents who I watched advocate for my sister and I, and a mother who, lifelong educator, who told her class every year, when I look at you, I see Jackie and Julie. That means you're mine. And that's the model that I have tried to live with. And running for the board was not about my children. It was about, I want to make sure that the advocacy that I have tried to bring to them happens for all of our kids. And by all, I do mean all. I will say that it has been a learning experience that I have deeply appreciated. Had no idea that it would be so fast. Coming onto the board and taking the time to listen is advice that was given to me and an advice that I pass on to the incoming board members. Take time to just catch your breath and understand what you don't know and just listen. And I have a necklace with it's a stamped little medallion that says listen. And to be honest, I started wearing this when I became board president, for those times when I wanted to make sure that my leadership style was about hearing, taking in perspectives, and not pushing any agenda that may be viewed as my own. So I hope I was able to model shared leadership. I've appreciated every member of this board and the way that we have modeled for our community what professionalism looks like, and what collegiality looks like, and what disagreeing looks like in a way that is thoughtful and measured and always at the end of the day in the best interest of our students. I think that the learning that we've done together has been something that I've greatly appreciated. Gina is absolutely correct about how she came to be on the board, because she made a public comment at a meeting, and there's an Adam Sandler movie, I can't remember the name of it, I haven't even watched the whole thing, but I just remember the part about him being a football player, and he would look at a person and say their number, and then that's who he would tackle. And you talked about your daughter's experience and microaggressions that she was experiencing, and just your passion for students. It transcended your daughter, and it was the voice that I felt we had to have on our board. So I don't think we ever met before, but I wrote your name down, and I think your address too, because at that time you was an address in case I had to find you. So I've just appreciated your ability to help me stay grounded and to help me feel that this work is not being left undone, that there is a baton that has been passed, and I know that you see what direction is needed, and I'm so grateful for that. And it makes it so much less challenging to step away. And I also will say to Ralph and to Sarah that the work that we have done, Ralph, even when you were with District 90, with the Tri-Board for early childhood, I've appreciated being able to bounce ideas off of you and to talk honestly, and ditto to knowing that our vision for our students that revolves around equity is in good hands with your stewardship. And Sarah, our 6 years together, always sitting side by side. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but we managed to make that happen. And I'm grateful for you stepping into this position at a time when, as Craig said, who knew that we were going to be dealing with all the things that we are. And I've appreciated the time that you've reached out, and I've said this, I'm not leaving Oak Park, so I won't say goodbye forever, but I can't promise I'll be at a board meeting anytime soon, but I'll come back. And I'm saving Tom for last, just because I have to. To my fellow retiring board members, Matt and Craig, from the beginning, I appreciated your eagerness to get in and just get started with the work. And Matt, I will say what has already been echoed in terms of your care for our community and desire to make sure that they don't feel left out and understand what's going on, but also have the mechanism for seeing things in real time is truly why we're even able to do, you pushed in a way that was needed. Because there are so many things going on, but the fact that that was a focus for you has been truly a gift to our board in terms of our communication and connection with our community. And Craig, when you ran was my second time running for the board, and I don't know if you remember, but at one of the campaign, it was the League of Women Voters Luncheon, one of those things where we still were able to go to things in person. And you and I ended up sitting next to each other and just meeting each other really for the first time. And we'd been at forums together, and I'd heard your positions on things and why you were running for the board. But that opportunity was the first where I heard about you and got to know who you were as a person. And I remember saying, we need more of that. Your honesty and your ability to be truly reflective and own things that, mistakes as well as checking back in. I've always appreciated that. And your outreach in that way is something that I hope that other board members were able to experience as well. Tom is my guy. And 8 years ago, I wouldn't have known that was going to be, that we're going to end up being buds. We came from very different perspectives of business world and this, whatever I am, revolutionary is what my mother would say, or militant. And just the passions that we both brought to our work allowed me to learn so much from you. And I will always be grateful for the time and care that you have always taken to answer questions that for others would have been like, oh, of course you should know that. I never felt that way with you. But I also know that we've had our Groundhog Day moments where, and thankfully there was someone I could look for. So we've done this before, haven't we? This is not the first time we've talked about this. It was a different administration, but we've done this exact same thing. We've had this exact same conversation. We'll always appreciate that, as well as your little quirky humor. So get ready, new board members. There will be pranks. I'm just telling you now. And more than that, during those times when our school was going through so many challenges and they seemed to be unending, and the leadership role that I had assumed was at sometimes subsuming, and I did feel that perhaps I needed some more boundaries. And I would say that during those times, Tom always checked in, not as board member, but just as friend. How are you doing? Are you okay? This is a lot. And I will forever be grateful for that burgeoning friendship turning into the relationship we have now. So grateful for you and so glad that you are continuing on, because you're now the institutional memory for our board in the way that Steve Devinson was before. You know a lot, so, and he's got it written down, people, so he can point to the notebook. And to, Joy Lynn, I'll have time to celebrate you and give you your due and your flowers in a month or so. But I can't imagine being in a leadership position as board president with anyone other than you. You have so much experience. I learned so much about patience from you, because that's not a strong suit of mine. And the talks that we were able to have, some harder than others, but we always emerged respecting each other more. Me just having this, such a delight in being able to know Dr. Pruitt Adams, to know Joy Lynn, and to know Joy. And all of those are parts of you and the relationship that we've been able to establish that will endure. It will just endure. And Greg, you're taking it over, man, and it's a good thing. So I said before when we had our meeting and you were hired that the bar was higher for you, and you met it, you exceeded it. And the fact that being the instruction committee chair allowed me to have bi-weekly meetings with you where we could talk, and I learned so much about you and just who you are as a person, watching you with students, watching you with staff, but also just being able to talk through in the wonky way that really is something that I love, the nuts and bolts of the data, as well as just the philosophies of education and learning and the type of school environment we want to have. And thank you for when you were our acting superintendent when Joy Lynn was away that semester. You and I, we were buds. It was more than, we were both like, well, this is new. The seasoned person we're not allowed to call her for a month. And we more than got through it. am so appreciative of you and know that as much as you have learned, there's more learning for you to give. And our district is ready for that. So I'm close by and hope that our relationship, friendship continues. Gail, I am just going to miss sitting in your office waiting for Joylyn to be ready. And the nurturing kindness that you have always shown everyone, but that I got to see up close and to just be a part of. Just your aura is something that I will always appreciate. And I will also am grateful that I got to learn about governance in ways that only someone like you could tell. And to be able to look over and even at the end have our little sign language of, I knew what one wink meant, I knew what that finger meant, I knew we had to move down, sit next to you, all of those things. So thank you for your guidance and leadership. Gee, good. And I will just end by saying that the vision that I continue to have broadly about education and equity and social justice is that the way that our students have shown us their leadership abilities, please don't let that falter. They are brilliant. They have shown us their ability to craft policy, from our racial equity policy, the work that they put in with that, to designing a class through Students Advocating for Equity, to our graduation policy with transitioning to caps and gowns, and our gender procedures. All the input and abilities of our students is vast and needed. And one of the things I had hoped as a board member was that there would be a student at the board table. So I'll just float that out there and see what happens with that. And to every teacher who walks these halls and teaches our children, shepherding them through this education process, thank you. And to all of those that invited me to their classrooms, allowed me to participate, that was my best learning. Every time I had an opportunity to be with students and our staff, allowed me to understand what questions I needed to ask the board table. So it was never about a once a month meeting or twice a month meeting. It was truly about getting to understand and to learn and to grow. And it's learning that I carry with me and will continue to be awed by and to appreciate and to use. And I have to end with my little family. My daughters just graduated from college on Sunday. They are our youngest. All four of our children graduated from this high school, and we're prepared for those next steps. And that's what I want for all of our kids, to feel that readiness, to feel that support. And I will tell you that the other thing that not many people know is that being in this high school and even walking these halls was so hard for me after my oldest son died. Times where even coming to my younger son's parent-teacher conferences, I would get paralyzed with if we were too close to trapeze, Jordan was on trapeze. And this position, this experience, I didn't even know what was happening. But there was a day where one of the trapeze students was interviewing me, and I didn't realize until halfway through that I was sitting in the room that Jordan sat in. And all I felt was pride, peace, and joy. And part of that happened because of being allowed to be in this most privileged position of serving our community. I ran for a second term because of my daughters, because they said, well, you're doing so great. And my friends really think you should run for another term. that first board meeting after they graduated, and I looked out the hall, it's like, they have gone on with their lives, and I am in this high school. Interesting. And it was very different that second 4 years. I didn't have the same intel that I had before with being able to have a listening ear out, but I would just say that the pride that I have in watching them watch me and take away what leadership can look like and what it means to truly adapt. Because it is hard. As a Black woman, even running for board president was hard, harder than it had to be. And as only the second Black woman to be board president of this school district in however many years we have, I'll say since the 70s, when the school was integrated. It still felt daunting, but I learned from that too, that as much as there were small signs of, well, why do you think you make a good board president? And knowing why those questions were being asked, but making it through, in large part to having such a supportive husband who has called himself, as we campaigned, my arm candy, and I can't disagree. He has gone to every event that I've beaten him to. He puts signs on the ground. He has just always been my biggest supporter and touchstone, and I'm just grateful. So I leave this role feeling that good work was done. I am glad that I didn't listen to the advice of a former board member as they were cycling off when they said, don't think that you're going to be able to do too many things. It really is much more about what the agenda says. And I couldn't even imagine why you would sign up for this if you didn't want to learn and grow. And so I pushed, and I sat in classrooms, and I met with students, and I met after school, and all of those things helped me to understand what decisions needed to be made. So I'm grateful. I hope that what is connected with me is a legacy where talking about racial equity is not something that is divisive, but it's something that can bring us together as we talk about truly what all of our students need and what's best for all of our students. And my real hope is that there comes the day that not only in terms of achievement disparities, that we aren't looking at predictors by race for achievement, but that even words like equity, those questions won't need to be asked regularly. What do our students need? Because it will be ingrained in our policy. It will be ingrained in the halls of this school, and it will be reflected in how our students not only come into this place, but how they leave and then how they come back, feeling that this is their school. So I'm grateful. I know I've talked a long time, and I just want to say thank you to everyone. And it has been truly an honor, truly an honor.
Thank you. So I put that discussion in action, so we're gonna bring one last little bit of work out of our board. I move to approve the open and closed minutes of April 22nd, 2021, and a declaration that the audio tapes of November 2019 be destroyed, and a declaration that the closed session minutes from January 1st, 1989 through April 22nd, 2021 remain closed, with the exception of the redacted closed session minutes of the October 4 and December 13 and December 21, 1983 minutes, and the January 14th, 23 and 28, 1984 minutes, as those have already been opened. Is there a second?
Second.
Can you do a roll call or a voice vote first?
You can do one.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So now we have an acknowledgement of our incoming board members. So I move that we acknowledge the newly elected Board of Education members. So let me start. So, move to acknowledge the newly elected Board of Education members, Frederick D. Erkin, Thomas F. Kofsky, Kabreeb Henry, Marianne Mohanraj. And we need a voice vote for this. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And one last little bit before we adjourn this meeting. Is there any public comment this evening?
No.
All right.
You're far away. Sorry. I know, I thought it had to be. Stop that.
Do you wanna do this?
Yeah, I think you're the perfect person to hand these out because you've been with us from the jump. All right, so with a heavy heart, I move to adjourn this meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Thank you to all of you.
Yeah, we're both vaccinated.